Chosen one. When your mind feels heavy, when your soul feels restless, it's not just anxiety, it's not just stress. It's spiritual warfare, and you're the target. You're not crazy, you're not weak. You're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, and that's why the enemy is pressing so hard. The sudden fear, the doubts that creep in at midnight, the people turning against you for no reason. These are signs that something bigger is happening behind the veil. He's attacking your mind because your thoughts create your path. He's attacking your relationships because isolation weakens your fight. He's attacking your sleep, your joy, your focus, because he knows. Once you're fully awake, you're unstoppable. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to remember. You were chosen before the battle began. You were marked before the pain hit. You were protected before the arrows flew. You might feel surrounded, but heaven surrounds what surrounds you. This pressure, it's not meant to crush you. It's meant to reveal who you really are. So don't retreat, don't question your worth. God is allowing the shaking. Because what's fake will fall off. But what's real in you will rise. The warfare is proof. The resistance is confirmation. The pain is prophetic. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. Fire, stay armored, stay prayed up, stay aware. Because what's after you proves what's inside you. Now is not the time to run. It's the time to fight in the spirit. Because when a chosen one rises, hell trembles. Cross swords. Subscribe to the Chosen Core for more wake-up calls just like this. The war is real, but so is your anointing. Chosen one. That sudden wave of depression out of nowhere. That strange exhaustion even after resting. The confusion, the mental fog. It's not random, it's spiritually engineered. The enemy has studied you. He knows your patterns. He knows when you're closest to breakthrough. That's when he strikes the hardest. You're not imagining it. You're in the middle of a spiritual ambush. People will call it just life. But deep down you know, this is not normal. This is war in the unseen. You've been waking up at strange hours, feeling watched, feeling pulled, because something in the spirit is trying to break in or break you. But what the enemy forgot is who he's messing with. You weren't just chosen for the spotlight. You were chosen for the battlefield. And that means you carry authority. God isn't warning you to scare you. He's warning you to prepare you. To tell you, armor up, warrior. Because this season demands a different version of you. Not the soft you, not the silent you, but the bold, unshaken, fire-walking you. You're not fighting for victory. You're fighting from victory. And heaven has already written the end of your enemies. They fall. You rise. That's the prophecy. Chosen one. You felt the tension in the air. The sudden arguments, the misunderstandings. People turning cold for no reason. This isn't coincidence, it's interference. The enemy is trying to distract you with drama. Because if he can pull you into the flesh, he knows you'll lose focus in the spirit. But you weren't called to petty battles. You were called to divine warfare. So don't waste your strength explaining yourself. Don't defend what God has already approved. You're not here to be understood. You're here to shift atmospheres. And that's why the attacks have increased. Because the realm of darkness senses what's coming. And it's terrified. Your voice carries weight in the unseen. Your prayers shake strongholds. Your very presence exposes what's hidden. And they can feel it before you even speak. That's why they tried to break you before you discovered who you were. That's why the trauma came early. Because the enemy saw the future you. The one God is now activating. This season is not punishment. It's prophetic pressure, because you're being trained to move like a warrior, not a worrier. So if everything feels like it's falling apart, it's only because everything fake is being stripped away. God is making room for the real you to stand. Not the version they manipulated. Not the version you built to survive. But the version God designed to lead armies in the Spirit. And chosen one, you're about to step into that version fully. Chosen one. This is why the enemy attacked your identity. He wanted you to doubt who you are. Because the moment you believe it, everything changes. He whispered lies through people. He planted doubt through delay. He tried to bury you under shame. Because he knew, a chosen one with clarity becomes a weapon in God's hands. But here, what hell didn't expect. That you'd survive the betrayal. That you'd outlast the storm. That you'd still be standing, even after everything broke. You weren't supposed to make it this far. But you did. And now that you're awake, now that your eyes see beyond the surface, now that your spirit discerns the unseen, the enemy's time is up. Because you're not just waking up. You're rising in rank. The pain made you sensitive. The loneliness trained your hearing. Now you don't just hear voices. You hear God's instruction. And chosen one, God is speaking louder in this hour. He's telling you, do not fear the arrows. Do not react to the chaos. This is confirmation. You are marked. You've been fighting invisible forces with a quiet spirit. But the time for silence is over. You are stepping into spiritual authority. And from now on, you're not just surviving warfare. You're commanding it, chosen one. This is why your dreams have been intense. Why your spirit feels heavy even when your life looks calm. Because your soul is picking up battles you can't see with your eyes. You've been walking through rooms sensing darkness. You've been hearing things in silence. You've been feeling unseen pressure when no one else notices a thing. That's not paranoia. That's spiritual sensitivity. The enemy doesn't just attack who you are now. He attacks who you're becoming. He sees your potential rising. So he tries to delay your obedience, distract your focus, and disturb your peace. But it won't work anymore. You've cried enough. You've questioned long enough. Now your spirit is waking up to the truth. This battle is bigger than you, but you were built for it. You weren't made to break under pressure. You were designed to carry divine fire. Not to blend in, not to shrink back, but to walk into demonic territory with your head high, knowing you carry heaven's backing. Chosen one, you are not a victim of this war. You are a key weapon in it. That's why the attacks feel personal, because you're dangerous. That's why hell keeps circling back, because you're effective. And the more you stand, the more power you gain. Every hit you've taken has only sharpened your edge. Every delay has only prepared your launch. The enemy knows. Once you fully align with heaven, you'll tear down his gates. And right now, you're closer than ever before. Chosen one, you've been hidden for a reason. Not forgotten, not rejected. Hidden because God was forming something in you that couldn't grow in the spotlight. Something that needed darkness, silence, isolation. The enemy tried to use that hiddenness to convince you were abandoned. But in reality, you were in divine incubation. He wanted you to think the delay was denial. But God was using that delay as protection. Because the level you're stepping into, it demands spiritual maturity. Not just gifting, not just charisma, but depth, discernment, and authority. That's why you couldn't skip steps. That's why shortcuts didn't work. Because you're not being raised as a follower. You're being raised as a leader in the spirit. The attacks didn't come to break your purpose. They came to prove it. Every battle forced you to pray deeper. Every betrayal pushed you into God's arms. Every season of silence trained your ears to hear Him clearly. And now, you don't just carry knowledge of God. You carry intimacy with Him. That's dangerous, because when a chosen one walks in intimacy, hell loses its grip. This is the hour where God turns your scars into strategy, your pain into prophecy, your wounds into weapons. You've been through too much to shrink now. You fought too hard to question your place. The enemy knows you're not who you used to be. And that's what terrifies him the most. Chosen one, your silence has been loud in the spirit. While others talked, you listened. While they chased platforms, you built altars. While they sought validation, you sought God. That's why your name is known in realms you've never walked in. You've been fighting battles in secret, but your victories echo in heaven. This generation won't be saved by noise. It will be saved by the hidden ones, the ones who know how to war in the quiet, the ones who walk with oil, not opinions. And that's exactly who you are. The enemy tried to convince you that nothing is happening, that your prayers were bouncing off walls, that your fasting, your obedience, your waiting was a waste. But what he didn't know is, every seed was a strike, every prayer was a hit, every tear was an investment in spiritual power. You've been walking in obedience when it was hard, when no one clapped for you, when everything around you said quit. But you stayed. And now, heaven is responding. The shift is already in motion. That spiritual attack, it's the last attempt to stop what can no longer be delayed. You've reached the edge of the old version of yourself. And there's no going back, the version of you that tolerated abuse, that second-guessed every move, that bowed to fear and overthought every instruction. That version is dying. And what's rising in its place is someone hell was never ready to face. Chosen one. You've been walking through fire, but not to be burned. You were sent through it to be forged. Every trial, every breakdown, every lonely night, it's been shaping your spiritual armor. Because where you're headed, you won't just need faith. You'll need fire-tested boldness. This world is loud. The deception is louder. But your silence has been filled with strategy. Because when you finally speak, chains will break. You've been taught by pain, trained by delay, strengthened by isolation. And now the time of revealing is near. But hear this clearly. The attack increased not because you were off track, but because you finally stepped into alignment. That sudden warfare, the heaviness, the unusual resistance, it was all confirmation that you hit a spiritual nerve. You've touched something sacred, something rare. And the enemy knows if you keep going, you'll activate others just like you. This is bigger than you. Your obedience is generational. Your yes is opening doors for people you haven't even met yet. That's why the pressure feels so personal. Because your purpose is not just personal. It's prophetic. Chosen one. You are becoming the threat hell hoped you never recognize. Chosen one. Your presence disrupts darkness even when you say nothing. Demons recognize the authority on your life, even if you're still learning to see it. That's why you've always been targeted. Before you knew who you were, hell already knew. They didn't attack you because you were weak. They attacked you because you were marked. Because even in your lowest moment, you were still carrying heaven's assignment. That fear you've been fighting, that heaviness sitting on your chest, That voice whispering, "You're not ready." It's not from God. It's the enemy's last, desperate attempt to shake your confidence. Because confidence in your calling is a dangerous weapon. You've played small long enough, dimmed your light to make others comfortable, hidden your fire so you wouldn't look too intense. But deep down you know, that fire inside you wasn't meant to be contained. It was meant to consume darkness. You weren't called to be liked. You were called to be light. So don't be surprised when your growth offends people. Don't be shocked when your anointing makes others uncomfortable. Oil will always irritate those who have none. Let them stare. Let them talk. Your focus is not on approval. It's on assignment. You've walked through enough fire to know what you carry isn't normal. And that's exactly why you can't afford to shrink. Not now. Not ever again. Chosen one. There's a reason the warfare intensified right before your breakthrough. It's because the enemy saw what you didn't. You were about to cross a line you can't come back from. The line between confusion and clarity. The line between surviving and ruling. The line between knowing God and walking in His power. And now that you're on the edge, everything is trying to pull you backward. Sudden discouragement. Old habits creeping back. People from your past resurfacing. Doors that once closed now opening, but with wrong motives. It's not coincidence. It's counterfeit. The enemy can't stop what God has started. So he'll try to offer a cheaper version of it, just to get you off track. But your spirit knows. You can feel it. The urgency. The pressure. The spiritual tension in the air. It's not meant to break you. It's meant to wake you. Because something is about to shift permanently. This is why you can't fold now. Why you can't go silent. Why you can't retreat into that old version of yourself. Because the battles you've survived weren't random. They were preparation for authority. And now, you're stepping into rooms your pain paid for. Taking ground your prayers cleared. Speaking with a boldness forged in private fire. Hell underestimated you. But heaven always knew. You were born for this hour, chosen one. Your pain has never been wasted. Every night you cried in silence. Every moment you wanted to quit. Heaven documented it all. Because in the kingdom, nothing broken stays useless. It all becomes part of your weaponry. The rejection. It taught you who not to depend on. The betrayal. It exposed what you needed to let go of. The delay. It trained you to walk by faith, not by sight. And now the enemy can sense it. You're not doubting anymore. You're deciding. You're not begging for signs. You're moving with spiritual certainty. And that's terrifying to the kingdom of darkness. Because a chosen one who stops second-guessing becomes a spiritual bulldozer, tearing down lies, strongholds, and generational curses, just by walking in obedience. That's why the pressure's been personal. That's why it feels like you've been carrying the weight of 10 lifetimes. Because in the spirit, you've been sent to confront what others ran from. You're not just breaking chains off yourself. You're breaking patterns off bloodlines. The enemy knows. If you fully accept who you are, if you fully submit to the fire God is leading you through, you'll walk in a level of power that can't be manipulated and can't be stopped. That's why the warfare came when it did. Because your time of hiding is almost over. And what's about to be revealed through you will silence every lie spoken against you. Chosen one. You were never meant to blend in. You were sent to interrupt cycles, to break patterns that enslaved your bloodline for generations. That's why you felt different even as a child. That's why you never quite fit in. Because you weren't made to conform. You were made to confront. The enemy saw your difference before you understood it. That's why the warfare came early. Before you had language for your calling. Before you had strength to fight back. He tried to crush you in seed form. But the seed survived. And now the roots are deep. The oil is real. And the anointing cannot be faked. Because it came through suffering, obedience, and surrender. You've been purified in the fire. Refined through rejection. Sharpened by isolation. And you didn't even realize. You've become a living weapon. That's why the atmosphere shifts when you enter the room. Why people either draw near to your spirit or suddenly pull away. You're carrying something holy. And not everything around you can handle the weight of it. This isn't just about elevation. It's about assignment. God didn't just choose you to be seen. He chose you to stand. To confront darkness in territories others are too afraid to enter. You don't need a title. You don't need a platform. Because heaven already endorsed you. And that's why hell is terrified. Chosen one. This is your wake-up call. You were never meant to live asleep in a world at war. You were born with a mandate from heaven. To shake systems, to break curses, to light fires in dark places. And that assignment still stands. Enough shrinking. Enough second-guessing. Enough waiting for permission to be what God already declared you are. It's time to walk like it. Pray like it. Fight like it. Because the enemy isn't scared of who you were. He's terrified of who you're becoming. You're not here to survive this life. You're here to shift it. Cross fire, so armor up, speak life, stay dangerous in the spirit. Because you weren't chosen for comfort. You were chosen for conquest. Subscribe to the Chosen Core if your spirit is awake and your battle is real. We're not building followers. We're raising warriors. Light.